This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
A very good afternoon and welcome to this Monday edition of the Blood Red podcast, coming as ever to you from the Liverpool Echo's offices in the heart of the city centre. Liverpool recorded another victory yesterday, this time on the road at Nottingham Forest, a dramatic 1-0 victory that was settled in just the manner you'd imagine the game was intended, by using a graphical generated computer image. Gorsty and Doyle are back from Hooters with the 3 points.
We walked past it.
We walked past it?
We didn't go in.
Didn't go in?
No, we weren't tempted.
You just won.
Apparently the chicken goujons are great, as exclusively
I
revealed by...
I realised I've actually been twice. I've been on 2 separate stag do's to that Hooters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 10 years. First one was 10 years ago, and the other one was about 3.
I've never been. Only I've just walked past. Any good? Is it good?
Yeah. For what I can remember.
Which sounds like it was very little, but fair enough. Okay, well, that's enough on Hooters. Before the Hooter went at the City Ground,
that's the wrong sport, but I'll let you.
Liverpool. We'll let him out.
Yeah, let him out that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. They had the ball in the net twice, and eventually one of them stood. We'll come to the goals in a minute. It is a win, which keeps them in touch, very importantly, with Manchester United and Chelsea. But I'll come to you first, Doyle. What did you make of the performance?
Well, the first half was terrible. The first half was, quite rightly, as Slot said, he said it's the worst first half he's had under his reign, and this season has been quite a lot of not great first halves, but that one was absolutely chronic. The only good thing about it is that they showed a bit of defensive fight inside the box. They were quite willing to throw Liverpool. This is to throw bodies on the line and block shots and this, that and the other. And says, while Forest had 12 shots aimed at goal, not necessarily on target, 12 shots at goal, which is the most Liverpool had leaked in one half of Premier League football since they lost 6-1 against Stoke. In that day at Stoke, they conceded 5 by half-time, I think it was. But against Forest, they didn't concede any. So the one positive they can take from that is that they were showing good fight defensively. And second half, the manager obviously said, look, you can do that. Try and apply that to the rest of the pitch. And they did. And if you take away the first half, because, as my dad always says, nobody ever remembers the first half. Because when you come away from the ground, you're always thinking of the emotion of what happened in the second half. Liverpool, you could argue on the balance of play in the second half, probably merited it more than Forest did, but unfortunately you can't forget the first half in this case because it was so bad. But Liverpool improved, whereas Forest got worse. By the end, while Forest had a few set pieces, which Liverpool defended quite well all the way through the game, we thought that obviously the first goal, I don't know what you think, Gorsty, I still think it's harsh for that one to be wiped out because it does hit his back and his point of his elbow.
Can I tell you what I think?
You will do in a minute. Can I tell you what I think first?
Go on then.
I was in the process of saying it.
Okay.
I think that the first one is a bit harsh, but you can kind of see why it's been disallowed. It's just annoying. The second one I've just been reading about. There's people saying VAR is corrupt and the technology is all wrong if that one... Well, hang on. We've seen the picture. He's onside. That's it. The end. This is the thing about the offsides is that you can't really argue with them anymore because you've literally got the facts there right in front of you. Now, the application of the law, whether you think Hugo Ekitike is in an offside position, well, he is, but he wasn't interfering with play. This has been going on for about 20 years now, so there's nothing new there. It's onside, and it's just that Liverpool had to have a VAR check that made it probably all the more enjoyable in the end that they actually did get the goal in the 97th minute.
Did you see a goal coming for Liverpool?
I did actually. Yeah, I was saying to Doyle yesterday. I actually did, and I've got no issues. I mean, Doyle's right. The offside is the offside. So that is pretty much cut and dry these days, isn't it? Especially with the semi-automated offsides. But someone said to me before that they couldn't see the player behind Van Dijk because Van Dijk is such a big unit.
As someone who watched it on the television, I can confirm that is absolutely true. I had no idea allay was there until
comes up on this
AI image.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Basically tells me that he is.
But once it shows that, you see that he's not offside, so it's a goal. And I've got no real problem with the other one. we've only seen the replays in the stadium, but it looks like it hits his back. But, I had a couple of people messaging me on WhatsApp who were watching it on the telly who said that it's clearly come off his elbow. So the law is the law, I guess. And we spoke to Virgil van Dijk, as we do after pretty much every game, and he said that McAllister said to him at full time that it hit his elbow, so he wasn't surprised that it was ruled out anyway. So I think it shows a lot of character from Liverpool, the fact that they've had the goal in the, 89th, 90th minute ruled out, and it's given the home fans a huge lift to basically go and fight on now for the final 5-6 minutes of additional time. And Liverpool have still found the character to go and win the game, despite having that setback, the disappointments. The fans are roaring the home side on for the final few minutes. So I think that shows a lot of character. I agree with Doyle totally. The first half was really poor. I thought Liverpool got bullied. They lost pretty much every duel. They didn't give up too many big chances. I think it was a Callum Hudson-Odoi has the only real chance, where Alisson makes a great save, as he tends to do in the one-on-ones. It comes back and it's Hudson-Odoi goes after a goal kick. Other than that, Liverpool defended pretty well. Van Dijk and Canate in particular. They were just sort of in and around the 18-yard box, 6-yard box, and just heading and clearing everything away, weren't they? And then Liverpool improved in the second half, which it would be difficult not to, really, given how bad the first half was. So, yeah, it's always a tough place to go. We've been going the City Ground now for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and every time it's a really difficult game that Liverpool are involved in. We've seen them win twice. 3 times if you include the FA Cup game, which again was another slog of a game, wasn't it? So it's always tough, but Liverpool have shown good character, good resilience, good mentality to keep going, and they were actually really good defensively, to be fair. But still, you're worrying that they've had 8 days off, and Forest played in Turkey on Thursday night, and you couldn't tell which team had done that. They were much fresher, full of a lot more energy, and basically wanted it more in the first half, which is quite worrying, really. But they've come away with the points. Maybe it might just be one of those that you forget about and you move on. But yeah, there was a lot there for Slot to chew over in terms of how to get his team switched on a lot earlier, which you have to say has been a little bit of a theme for this season, really.
Yeah, I'll come to a point about Forest looking more energetic in a moment, actually. Just to wrap up on the VAR situation. With the first McAllister goal, I know you're saying the rule is the rule, but what is he supposed to do there? He's jumped, he's turned his back, he's not looking at it. And his arm, he hasn't got his arm out here. It is down by the side of his body. And, not the best clearance. I think it was Aina again. And the ball's gone in the net. For me, I mean, that is a goal.
Yeah. Forrest got away with it. He got away with it with the clearance because it was a terrible clearance.
It was a bizarre goal, wasn't it? But I think that the rule is if a goal is scored with a hand, or an arm, then it's ruled out. And they've applied the laws on this one as they do, and a lot of the laws leave sort of your rank and file supporter often scratching their head, and for good reason. But in the same way, Szoboszlai was sent off, and City don't get the goal the other week. It's the application of the laws that have come into play, and you can question the laws, but the referees have applied them, and that means no goal. But it was a bit of a bizarre one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. Tell me if I'm an old relic if you want, but
you're an old relic.
Thank you, I knew you would.
Yeah.
I feel just like Liverpool fans have had 2 let-offs there behind the goal in terms of celebrating. On another day, it could have been they've done that twice and not actually won the game. Yeah. I just wonder where we're going with football, where moments like that can just be chalked off. I'm just more in favour of actual.
You've only just noticed. It's been going on for about 5 or 6 years now.
I'm reiterating the points. You know what I mean?
I
don't like the direction of
travel, isn't it? But we're going to have this from now until the end of time. So people have their opinions on it. I guess the FA Cup, with it not being in use recently, has given people a bit more, energy for the debate. I guess because you can see sort of what it's like. You can say the referees have become a bit too reliant on it. That was certainly the case when Aston Villa played Newcastle, and a horrendous decision it doesn't get given against Luka Dean with the handball. Was it inside the box and to give a free kick, well outside the box, and There was a couple of decisions in there. Rio and Gamoa doesn't get his goal against Brighton because there's no automated offsides. It just depends on what you want out of football, doesn't it? I would get rid of it, but we are in that era now where it just seems to be the debate after every single game.
The thing is, as well, is sorry, I'm finished.
No, I was just going to say it's just tedious, isn't it? The VAR debate.
We say while having a
debate exactly. But we're going to have the same again next week.
Exactly. The only thing I'd say is that having watched a lot of football, you can tell when some goals look a bit iffy and when they don't. And both the Liverpool's goal, those efforts from McAllister, you thought that was a bit odd, the way that they came about. So instantly you're thinking something might be wrong with this, and of course in the case of one of them there was, and the other one there wasn't.
We're at a point where we're dissecting it to those levels, but at least they've got the points. That's the most important thing. The performance, as you say, first half, awful, dreadful. Did they have a day off on Friday? Is that right?
They were off. I think they were off from Monday and Tuesday, and they reconvened on Wednesday.
I think they did it Friday.
Were they off on Friday?
The press conference was on Thursday, was it? And we were like, why have they moved it? And I think, I'm not saying this is the reason we didn't play well, okay? But I mentioned the other week that, and like the last two games that Liverpool played, they were getting outran on the pitch. Check my stats again today. I know stats are for geeks, but again, they were outran by their opponents. Nottingham Forest have covered more ground, and in particular, the sprinting statistic is higher. This is a team that played midweek in Istanbul. I just don't understand.
Who had the most possession?
Well, I hope it was Liverpool in the second half.
Certainly wasn't Liverpool in the first half because he couldn't string two passes together.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, it was Liverpool, 52.8% Liverpool.
Because the team that has the ball more tends not to run as much. Not always the case, but that tends to be kind of the case because you're running around after the ball in packs rather than if you've got the ball and you tend to not be.
Yeah, they did a very good job of giving it away in the first half.
And the other thing I'd say on Forest is the second half they got very tired. I mean, Elliot Anderson had a good first half, but disappeared completely in the second half and got.
There's a reason Liverpool got that. Okay, one obviously gets ruled out, but they scored two in the closing stages because it's the same team, wasn't it? Forest picked the same team, Vita Pereira from Thursday. They were 3-0 up by 50 odd minutes, weren't they?
They subbed out 3 or 4 of them, didn't they, after about an hour?
Yeah, but it wasn't like they had to play to the final whistle on Thursday, but still it's a long old slog going to Turkey, going to Istanbul, and then coming back to Nottingham whilst your opponents haven't played for a week. So Liverpool should have been fresher. But, we've been to the City Ground for the last few years, like I say, and there's always a bit of a special welcome reserved for Liverpool, I think it's fair to say. The Forest fans, maybe rightly remember that rivalry in the 80s, and they don't like Liverpool, so they have it's a great atmosphere for a neutral's perspective for Forest fans, and that makes it a little bit more difficult for Liverpool. And they've got a new manager that's trying to stave off relegation. They've just come off a really energising win on Thursday in the Europa League, the first European campaign for 30 years. So there's a lot that was sort of a lot of wind for their sails, I guess.
Bit of new manager bounce as well.
Exactly, yeah, all of that, and Liverpool had to counteract that, and we may be caught on the hop a bit early on by how much Forest flew out the blocks. And me and Doyle were talking about it yesterday on the drive home, and there was a game against Wolves about 3 years ago, was it? And as soon as Liverpool kick off, it gets rolled back to Joe Matip, and he goes to clear it, and he scuffs it, and it was just a symptom of what followed. Liverpool got beat 3-0. Was second best, and it was one of the lowest points probably of Jurgen Klopp's time actually as manager. And there was something similar on Sunday. It comes to Kerkez on his weaker right foot, and he goes to hoof it up the field and sort of slices it and doesn't really connect with it properly. And when that happened, I was thinking, oh no, it's going to be one of those games.
Massive.
Yeah, and the first half sort of panned out that way. Only Forest couldn't break Liverpool down, so they did well to get in at half time and sort of clear the Reds, really, because they were much better in the second half. But I don't think it was a case of, I've seen it described earlier on as a game of two halves. I don't think it was that much different, but they were better in terms of creating a few more chances, getting on the ball a bit more, quieting the crowd, and eventually the quality tells just as the tiredness perhaps sets in a bit for Forest.
Well, at half time, I'm sure he probably read the riot act a little bit, Arne Slot. Hopefully showed some of his clips of the first half via a secure internet connection. And we would recommend, if you do that, you use NordVPN, who just happen to be the sponsor of the Blood Red podcast. Some of the benefits of NordVPN include watching sport events, TV shows and films which aren't available in your region by switching your virtual location. Example, you could be in Italy, you're watching something in Japan. Nord also protects your private data like bank details, passwords and online identity, and of course tactics. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to the link nordvpn.com/bloodred. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, and there is no risk with Nord's 40-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box below.
Italy and Japan. Have you recently been to Italy?
I have actually.
Are you going to Japan next month?
Can I shock you? Yes, I am. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it.
Yeah, just dropping that one in.
More of that to come.
Did you forget to do the Nord thing at the start of the show?
I was supposed to segue into the VAR section and forgot.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, well, thank you for exposing that.
No problem.
More exposures to come. There's more sponsorship to come, so I'm sure you can catch me out again later, as you'll no doubt revel in. So, yeah, a much better second half. Was it a little bit? I know you said they quietened the crowd. My worry was it was a little bit of a case of going back to when Liverpool were shipping goals for fun against teams like PSV Eindhoven and indeed Nottingham Forest not that long ago. They went back to a bit more of a pragmatic way of playing, which didn't really create chances and was quite frankly boring. I felt like they just sort of done that again. Did you feel that in the ground? It's just
I mean they were obviously a bit hamstrung by Florian Wirtz pulling up with the injury in the warm up, and so much of Liverpool's attacking players now centred around getting the best out of him, isn't it? And
that's a worry as well. It all seem to be centred on him.
Yeah, but he gets injured. Maybe 20 minutes before kickoff, half an hour before kickoff. So they don't have a lot of time to rejig the plan. That's clearly been the plan all week. Wirtz will play in the number 10, and suddenly they're having to rejig it. So it was no real surprise that Curtis Jones struggled. I thought Sangare absolutely bullied them off it, didn't he, early on, and that's where they get their best chance, actually, Forest, because he wins it and then plays the ball over the top and Hudson-Odoi is in. Obviously gets the wrong side of him and Alisson to the rescue. But that certainly didn't help the game plan, did it? The fact that you've got, you've been planning all week for this and then that happens. But again, I mean, it comes back to, for me, the bench just looks threadbare, doesn't it? And they've got injuries. We know that they've got injuries, but for the money they've spent, it's still jarring how few options they have, really, how few genuine options. Chiesa, is he? Can you consider him one? I suppose you have to, but there's just not much there, is there? And when you're having to make a change before you've even kicked off, that just makes that bench look even sort of lighter than it is. Wirtz actually wasn't on the bench as a result of the injury, so Liverpool have now got an 8-man bench, and 4 of them are Calvin Ramsey, Trey Naoni,
2 goalkeepers.
Kieran Morrison. It was only the 1 goalkeeper, but and Rio Ingabauer, who obviously comes on and has a really good impact, but again, there's only a 17-year-old who you have to manage carefully. So, I mean, that is a concern. Liverpool could do with bodies back soon, but I don't think it's not like they've got 8 and 9. I would have to. They've got, 4 sides?
2 right backs and a
That's
centre
2
forward.
right backs,
Standout centre mid, and they've got 5 at least. Then you got like your less ones like Beset and John for ages and Jaden Dance. So we did this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
What I would say, you would have to give credit to Slot because he had to make an awful lot of changes on the fly, as it were, because obviously we mentioned that Wirtz dropped out. So he starts off with Jones at the number 10. Then he was like, right, the midfield is getting overrun. After half an hour, he puts Szoboszlai as one of the, not in the number 10, but in the deeper midfield roles. Puts McAllister into the number 10. Didn't really do a lot, although moving into a number 10 ended up winning the game for them eventually. Jones goes to right back. And then when he makes the subs, Ungamoa comes on the left, Chiesa on the right. And after 10 minutes of that, he goes, this isn't working either. And then moves them around. And it's where Ungamoa gets the crossing from the right. And Ekitike should score, really. And then the game the game changed on that, but it gave Liverpool the belief that they could get something out of it towards the end. And I don't think necessarily they score that goal at the end if they hadn't had that near miss or the goal disallowed just before it. in my opinion. And a lot of that came down to the changes the manager had to make. And actually, to be fair, with the exception of Chiesa, who for some reason just kept on getting everybody's way, the subs did all right. Ningamo, we just mentioned. Gomez looked quite solid at right back. He took the throw in, didn't he? A couple of long throws caused them a bit of issues, and then he took it short for Szoboszlai to get the cross in. And Robertson made a great block when Forest when it was still 0-0. So in that respect, while there were an awful lot of performances that were pretty poor, look at Gravenberch, McAllister overall, if he hadn't scored that goal, was on for a low mark. Salah slightly better in the second half than the first, but still didn't do a lot. Gakpo, same thing. I mean, probably the only, and Jones was the same, but the only time they all did something is when they all combined for that chance. Gakpo plays it from the left across to Salah, plays it back across, and Jones probably should have scored when Ortega saved with his feet to start the second half. None of them were particularly great. But you look at, even if the beginning wasn't it, we were talking about it, Alisson, he makes a good save from Hudson-Odoi, but then he was kicking, and Van Dijk they were putting Kerkez into all sorts of trouble just with distribution. But I mean, I was not happy with it because it's very rare for me to get animated in the press box. But I was like, what are they doing? This is just stupid. This, but they kept at it, and the second half, that approach helped them because they ended up keeping the ball better, playing it around the back. I mean, how many long goal kicks did they take? I can't think they took any. They just kept on taking them short, didn't they, and passing around the back because they realised that Forest were going to tie it. And compare Liverpool substitutes to Forest. Forest brought on two new wingers who just kept on kicking the ball out of play. They were nowhere near the same level as the two players that they'd replaced. And I can't remember who came on for Anderson, but he didn't really obviously do much. So I think from that point of view, while Liverpool's bench...
Domingos, yeah.
Well, from Liverpool's point of view, while their squad isn't big compared to some of the other main leading contenders in the Premier League, the quality that they could bring on, whether it's a youngster like Ngomora or more seasoned pro like Robertson and Gomez, was far more impactful than what Forest could do, and that's what won them the game.
They've won the game. That's the most important thing. They're playing against the team that is struggling at the bottom of the table. They're not going to be able to get away with that sort of performance every week, though, are they?
No, not of course not. No, and I mean, I got the very next game is against another team down there as well, isn't it? With West Ham United on Saturday at Anfield. Now, it's got all the hallmarks of a bit of a standard routine victory, but again, I think Liverpool have got to show a bit more than they did yesterday in terms of, having this time off. Managers moan all the time about not having a full week to work on the training pitch. Arne Slot will have had 2 weeks there with one game a week, and that is manna from heaven for coaches who like to work on things and try and get their hands dirty and stuff. And you couldn't really see what they'd been working on yesterday. So I think we need to see a bit more of that against West Ham on Saturday. It's obviously only, the game is only yesterday. I think Liverpool will have a recovery session today, as they tend to do, and interesting to see if they get any more time off like they did at the beginning of last week, and then take it from there. But there wasn't, it wasn't a sort of ringing endorsement, was it, for having that, preparation week, if you like, in terms of giving them 2 weeks off at the start, where some of them went on holiday, and then Friday off as well. Maybe this is one where they just work for the full week and try and build on something, try and get a bit of a game plan for West Ham.
I think it's the last game as well, the Forest one, where it's been taken in isolation, because the West Ham game's the first of 7 in 22 days, in which they've got an FA Cup game, 4. One FA Cup game. How many Premier League games? 4 Premier League games. West Ham, Wolves, Brighton and Tottenham, and the 2 Champions League round of 16, whoever they end up playing. We'll find that out later this week.
So that takes us to the March international
break. So this is now, it's heads down again, and I think that probably there was a little bit of that in the thinking of the players going into the game, but now everyone will be switched on to, right, now we're cracking on, and we know that certain players are going to be rotated out. We've got to keep players fresh. Frimpong will hopefully be back for the West Ham game. Wirtz will be back as well. So there's 2 players back straight away. Obviously, and then Isak probably after the international break. Rest of them, I'm not sure we'll see again this season.
I know these players are going to be vital, aren't they? Because the squad, as you say, it doesn't feel big, does it? It doesn't feel like he's got a massive pool of players to choose from. So Szoboszlai starting at right back.
He's not going to start a right back.
I mean,
again.
is that experiment over?
I think it's done now. I think
it's important, isn't
he's got to play in midfield. I think Frimpong will be back. Even if Frimpong's not back, you can either have a game where Curtis plays at right back or Gomez. I know he's reluctant to play Gomez there because you want him as cover for at centre back. And I think in the coming weeks, you can see the FA Cup game. Gomez is going to play somewhere in that one against Wolves. Probably could even be something, like the Tottenham game. I don't know yet, but that's a long way down the road. But the point is, he's trying to make sure that he's available for those games just in case something happens. Because now Endo's injured. They literally don't have any other centre-back options. So I think Endo's injuries kind of limited the amount of playing time Gomez has got over the last couple of games.
I suppose like playing sort of deeper than he would have necessarily have been selected in our minds ahead of the game, even if he wasn't at right back. Do you think he's going to end up playing there again against West Ham?
I think it was more because of he's got a bit more physical prowess and threat than maybe someone like Gravenberch, certainly more than McAllister. I mean, McAllister doesn't mind getting stuck in, but he's still a bit smaller than Sabosai is, and Gravenberch, that's not his strength, and when he's having an off day like he was on Sunday, then it's difficult for him to make much of an impact, which is not been many times. Not every player in the world is going to be brilliant every single day. The positive is that Liverpool, as I said before, they found a way to win a game in the same way that they found a way to win a game at Sunderland. If you'd have said 2 weeks ago that Liverpool were going to go to Sunderland and Forest and win both games 1-0, not 2 clean sheets, and suddenly the level on points with the fourth. I know by the time we're recording this, United are playing against Everton later tonight, but to be on level on points with Chelsea, who, by the way, drew at home with Burnley, having drawn at home with Leeds.
It's a funny old season,
and lost at Leeds, didn't they? 3-1.
Yeah.
So, and they lost at home to Sunderland as well, 2-1. So, tough these promoted teams, isn't it? But Liverpool managed not to lose against them
this year.
Yeah, so and there's a long way to go. And I think Liverpool just picking up these points is what's so important.
We were looking at Chelsea's fixtures last night, weren't we, on the way back, and they've got a tough run. They're going to drop points, absolutely. So Liverpool have just got to take advantage of that, I guess. No, I still think it's two teams fighting for 3 places, really, in Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, United and Chelsea. And Chelsea are definitely not going to win all of their games because they've got pretty much everyone, isn't it?
Do you not think Villa could get drawn into it? Because
Villa could, yeah. I hadn't really thought that far ahead with Villa, but I mean, they could as well.
It?
Yeah, but Chelsea have got... I mean, they've got to play Liverpool, obviously, at Anfield. They've got to play United.
They've got to play Arsenal away. They've got to play United. They've got to play Villa. They have to play City at home. And they've got to play Newcastle as well, I think it is. So there's a lot of tough games for them. And they are still in the Champions League. And they're still in the FA Cup as well. And they got to the semi-final of the League Cup, having played in the World Club Cup in the summer. And I know quite a lot of those players aren't just not be playing anyway now because they've got so many.
I can't remember who half of them are.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, there's that many of them.
And they got a new manager as well since then. So
of course,
there's quite a lot for them to take on, and there's quite a lot that could go wrong. It's going to be easier for it to go wrong than right for them.
What did you think of Mo Salah's performance yesterday?
Ordinary, really. Nothing worse, certainly nothing better. And I could understand Slot deciding that, now is the time to bring him off. Could have made the case for Gakpo to go off as well, but the fact that both of them did suggest that Slot was within his rights. The only issue, I guess, is not blessed with depth, are they, in those positions at the moment? So, always wonder whether it might be better the devil, and sticking with a player of Salah's quality to come up with the goods late on, but I don't think he could have any complaints, and Gakpo couldn't either. So, yeah, I mean, fair play to Ngoma. He come on and certainly did a bit, didn't he, in the time that he was on the pitch. And yeah, I didn't think Salah had his best game. And I mean, we spoke a lot about Salah last week in positive terms, and I don't want to sort of say the total opposite now on the back of an ordinary performance. But it's only the one Premier League goal, isn't it, since the beginning of November?
He didn't look thrilled to be coming off either, did he?
I don't think we need to get drawn into that debate. I don't think any player does, do they? When they come off, he just had a bit of a wry smile. It was one of almost faint embarrassments, but, these players aren't used to seeing the number on the board, so it is what it is, but don't think he could have any complaints.
It's not like when we get subbed off the podcast and we're all made up.
Well, that hasn't happened for quite a few weeks, to be honest.
We've got a very small squad.
It's a very small squad, a very consistent lineup now. Maybe we'll get like a small plaque at the end of the season, or at the very least a carriage clock.
Yeah.
I'm sure Salah will have discussed what he thought about getting taken off with his friends back in Egypt.
I already know where this is going. This is great.
And of course, if you contact Egypt, you're probably, to save money, you should certainly think about using an eSIM. And I would recommend that you used Saley. So what is Saley is a very good question. It's an affordable, easy to use and sustainable eSIM service that gives reliable mobile and internet connections from anywhere in the world, including Nottingham. A couple of benefits include save money or eliminate roaming fees with affordable eSIM data plans in over 200 destinations, and built-in cybersecurity features such as web protection and malicious ad blockers. That sounds absolutely dreadful.
Does that mean that the ads they're blocking are malicious, or the ad blockers are malicious?
I don't know the ad blockers personally, but if anything malicious comes to you in the form of an advert, it will be blocked with Saley.
Good.
For more benefits and more information, download Saley in the App Store. And there is a promo code, I believe, in the description box on this podcast. Is that correct, producer Ian? It is indeed. Good, because the one I've got written down here
has been crossed out.
I don't know if it has been crossed out, and I don't know if it works. Anyway, when I go to Japan, because I'm going to Japan soon, I'm going to get...
I think his fingerprints are...
I'm going to get a Saley eSIM. Yeah, so I'll be able to personally tell you.
You are Saley.
That it's good.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, let's just have a word about Rio Ngamoa, who came on, made a very positive impact, set up what I believe to be a legitimate goal, even though the boffins and computer graphic nerds disagree with me.
They're not boffins.
Well,
boffins, are they? They're not. They're not boffins. The beaks and bigwigs.
The killjoys. They are. Whatever.
Rule applies.
Rule applies, yeah.
You're more of a renegade, aren't you?
I am, yeah, without a cause.
Yeah.
It made a big impact. Jamie Carragher bigged him up quite a lot. Now, I did say a few weeks ago I'd like to see him playing a little bit more. I'm not advocating for him starting matches, by the way. I don't think that's necessarily a thing, but he did bring a different dynamic, and I guess my question is, would you like to see more of him on a regular basis? Yeah,
I think Liverpool have got to be careful. It's not often I disagree with Jamie Carragher, but I think perhaps might do on this one, and I'm pleading with Ian Kroll not to clip this because Carragher will see it and he'll be on my case. But yeah, I mean, I think Liverpool have got to be careful with him. Everyone can see the talent. 17-year-old electric winger with a huge future in the game. But if Liverpool are struggling, if he starts a game and Liverpool are struggling, and then he tries one or two things with his skill and his attempts to dribble and they don't quite come off, supporters might get on his back, and that's the last thing Liverpool want to happen. It's the last thing they need to happen, and you've got to be protective over these young starlets of the future. So he's in a perfect position where he's in. I think a lot of fans would like to see a bit more of him, understandably. But I think Liverpool have got to treat him with kid gloves. I'd like to see him start against Wolves in the Cup, but I don't think they need to be fast tracking him too quickly, because we've seen what can happen when, not even necessarily fears of burnout or anything like that, because that'd be years down the line. But it's more what can happen when the mood changes, when Liverpool fans are frustrated that something's not going the way, and a creative player who might not be coming off 4 on the day is on the end of it, and you don't really want that for such a young player. And we actually had the opportunity to speak to him yesterday in the mix zone, which will be online tomorrow. So he was, level-headed, young man, really, with a sensible head on his shoulders. And he, it seems though he is accepting of the position that he's in at the moment, and I can understand why Slot has been reluctant to, hand him loads more minutes, because it's a bit unfair, throwing him on when Liverpool needs something too often is probably a bit unfair on a 17-year-old. So I can understand the reluctance to to play him from the start.
If you double his age, it doesn't even come to yours. Just thought I'd mention
That is true.
Yep.
Yeah. even the age when I knocked the gear up as well. Still double his age, and he's still Mo Salah, isn't he? Mo Salah's age.
Yeah, that is.
What does that tell us?
That's frightening. Are you on the same page then?
In terms of what, the age?
No, in terms of you're definitely not on the same page as
Near
Riangamoa's age,
yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
Definitely not. No, in terms of really sort of limiting him to cameos.
I wouldn't go having him start in a Premier League game anytime soon. I don't think. I think the only way he probably starts a Premier League game this season is if Liverpool have got nothing to play for towards the end, or loads of players gets injured.
Which is the ideal time. Yeah. So it's, when he comes on against Brighton and they're 3-0 up and he gets 20 minutes, that's perfect. The game state means that he can try things. If they don't come off, it's not the end of the world. And it's just experience and minutes and all that sort of stuff. But bringing him on, like Burnley earlier this season, actually, when they're in desperate need of a goal. And to be fair, he actually played a part, didn't he? But it just feels a bit unfair to me, even though it's experience for him. It's just asking a lot to be the saviour off the bench for the 17-year-old.
I think the ideal time possibly start the games in the Champions League semi-final second leg when they're already 6-0 up against Arsenal. I think I'd give him a go then. But seriously, Arsenal aren't going to get that far. No, seriously. I think with Ngamoa, he is only, he's 17. He's in a strange situation where he doesn't really have to kind of, sometimes these youngsters feel as though they need to make a mark because they want to get their name out there. He's already done it. Give that goal against Newcastle. Everybody knows who he is. So he's not under any pressure in that sense. But it's about learning his craft and learning his trade, because when he came on, everyone's talking about, we mentioned it before, his impact going forwards, move from left to the right wing. When he was playing on the right, he gave the ball away a couple of times in front of us, actually, when he was trying to help out defensively. It wasn't just him, but these are things that he has to learn. And yeah, I'm with Gorst, a bit worried that some of the less patient fans, and they know who they are because they probably already turned off by me starting talking. They're quite quick to grumble about certain things, and you know what it's like. In 2 years down the line, they'll be turned on to looking at someone else and going, "What about this next big thing?" And suddenly Rio and Ngamoa is this professional who's played for a couple of years, and people, why isn't he doing this, that, and the other? And if he can get to that point gradually rather than have it forced upon him, because he'll be desperate. If you said to him, "I want to play every game," because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't he? Because he's been stuck in. We've mentioned it before on this podcast. Stuck in that limbo where he's training with the first team, on the bench with the first team, isn't playing for the under-21s. Whereas last week he played against Brighton, and we mentioned it. He then played the following day against West Brom, against West Brom and the under-21s. Scored. I think he set up at least one goal, may have had a hand in another one. And then came off after about an hour, 75 minutes, I think it was. And then he's come on. I think he's played in 6 of the last 10 Liverpool first team games, which suggests that he's becoming more and more of an option. And ultimately, when you're a player that age, it's about, do your senior teammates trust you? And they're quite happy to give him the ball, see what he can do. And the only way he's going to build those relationships on the pitch is by playing. You can only do so much in training. And it was interesting that he did move on to the right, because that shows you the kind of trust already that Slot's got in him. Because normally when you have a youngster, you just say to him, right, that's your position that you've played in it all the time, go and play there. So he doesn't overcomplicate things. But he basically said to him, here, try on the other wing here and let's see what you can do.
I quite liked it.
What I think is quite interesting is I think Liverpool might, depending on what happens with Mo Salah, might go for a different profile on that right wing to Salah that they've had for the last 9 seasons, because of Alexander Isak. Getting the best out of him would come from a more traditional winger. Something Slot referenced a few months ago in terms of how do you get the best out of him. And Jacob Murphy at Newcastle was a massive help, because he was just an old school winger, wasn't he? Who sort of gets down the line and puts the ball in the box.
Well, to that end, have they already got that type of player in Jeremy Frimpong?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, again, that's a very good shout. Frimpong's been really good when he's been available, but unfortunately he's on a third injury of the season at the moment, isn't he? But when he was available, certainly around December time, he looked like he was going to be a real option. You look at the assist he gets against Wolves at Anfield for Gravenberch. That was, getting down the line, cutting it back. this is to get to Ekitike at Spurs was similar, wasn't it? Down the wing, clipped it in. So maybe Liverpool could look at what would be a different profile to what Salah has been for so long. The left footer cutting in and being the main source of goals. Because eventually Isak's time is going to come and he's going to have to take the responsibility of being the main man up front.
Spoke to John Aldridge for his column earlier today, and something's going to appear on the Echo website. He's talking about Szoboszlai, what we were talking about in terms of not playing right back anymore. But he suggested, could he be an alternative to Salah on the right wing now, but more, withdrawn, like slightly inside?
Well, he played that before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That was the whole point when Salah were playing.
Yeah.
That's where Szoboszlai was playing.
And then, but I think for a part of that, Frimpong wasn't available, was he? But now, if you had Frimpong back available, which he could be on Sunday, I'm not saying Saturday, sorry. I'm not saying drop Salah for this one, but long term, whether that's an option, because Frimpong could be the person who's out wide right. Szoboszlai now, when he drops back into the right back position, he'll know exactly what he's doing because he's played there so often this season. And he's somebody who can help cover the midfield. And also, he's got the engine to get up and supply whoever's, playing up front, like he did on Sunday. He'd be kind of playing that position from where he crossed that ball. So they do have more options, but as Gorsty said, it depends on how they see is the best fit for Isak, because, Isak, they spent £125 million. There's no way they're not going to, they were hoping it would be Wirtz and Isak this season that would partner together, but that's not been possible for a number of reasons. But it's not just him. There's the other people that have to feed him, and Isak is someone they'll build a team around.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you spend that type of money on Isak and Wirtz, surely it didn't really happen this season for, obviously we had injuries and that, but even with Wirtz, it doesn't feel like they, until this point now, that we've really been building a team around those players. But that's obviously something that they'll have to do next season as this team evolves. I don't know if they might need another right back as well. Then if you see a world where Frimpong's playing higher forward and there's still question marks over Conor Bradley's injury record, and in terms of depth, they still.
You're not going to keep on buying a million right backs, though, are you? You've already got two.
Well,
you've already got
about 20 this year.
Well, yeah, but you've got two international right backs there. They're not going to sign a third one.
That's Joe Gomez, who becomes a fully fledged right back. Jake comes in, Leone's back from injury, and Garnett signs a new deal. Not
totally out the question, I guess. Don't know if Gomez may seek past his new in next season, possibly, but we'll have to see. In terms of Ingamoa and get the chance to play more games at the end of the season when there's nothing riding on it, doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Good,
because the battle for Champions League places is I suspect going to go right down to the wire. Liverpool 6th. So important that they got that win yesterday because it keeps them in touch. At this, that's 27 games played with at the point of recording, United still to play one. At this point, where do you see Liverpool finishing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it before that this run in May is so critical, isn't it? They go to Old Trafford, they play Chelsea at Anfield, and they go to Villa Park. So if they're still, like you say, in touch, the level on points now are with Chelsea, who are 4th, and we'll see what happens tonight at Hill Dickinson Stadium. So
not the Hill Dickinson.
Well, no, it's just Hill Dickinson, isn't it? I'm not proper. It's I think if they can stay in touch for that run in May, it's going to be really interesting. And Chelsea will drop points because of that, tough looking fixture list. I'm not too sure who United have got, but yeah, I mean, I still think it's 3 into 2, 2 into 3, sorry, and I'll back Liverpool to finish above either or Manchester United and Chelsea.
Ian, are you a glass half full man?
What a stupid question that is. Of course, my glass half empty man. That's how I base my entire persona. Have you ever met me before?
I was just trying to make you feel happier, to be honest with you, which obviously is a challenge. But
Chelsea have got the most difficult fixtures. Can't see them winning all their games. Can't see Liverpool winning all their games. I do think United will finish 3rd because they don't play any midweek games because they're out of everything. I think they've just got this one Premier League game coming up, haven't they? That's their last midweek game. So if United don't finish 3rd, it's not very good on their part. I think Liverpool, Villa and Chelsea are battling for 4th and 5th. I think 5th will get Champions League looking at it, unless there's a massive fall-off from the English teams.
You think United will finish above Villa,
yeah? Yeah. They've got to play them, haven't they, as well, at Old Trafford, so I think that's right. I think
Yeah, there's an Old Trafford.
Yeah, so they'll probably win that one, United, which would do Liverpool a favour, really. I think Liverpool will definitely be in with a shout over the last 4 games, but it's those 4 games, you're right, are going to decide it. Just staying in touch and preferably being probably ahead of at least 2 of those 3 teams I just mentioned is what they'll want to be, because you don't want to be going into those last the Villa game has all the makings of a bit of a shootout for me, the next to last game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I think people will be looking at the United and Chelsea games before that, but I think it's the Villa one, because if you're within 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, whatever, it either gets you above them or it ends it there and then. So,
well,
big weekend to look forward to.
Indeed, that will keep interest going right to the end.
Quite a lot to go before then, though.
There is quite a bit. I'm just looking at the fixtures at the weekend. United and Chelsea both play on Sunday, so Liverpool have a chance, obviously, to
go above them.
Unless United could beat. Well, United will beat Everton tonight.
Oh yeah, forgot about that already. United are home to Crystal Palace. Chelsea away to Arsenal.
Chelsea not getting anything from that one.
I don't know. They've run close 3 times already this season, haven't they?
We won an Arsenal win there. Let's be honest.
Well, I know a draw.
You'd be all right with a draw. Yeah. Okay, well, you've got those to look forward to on Sunday. Of course, another way to qualify for the Champions League is to win it, and the Champions League draw will be on Friday.
Being popular after it. So.
Yes, so I was going to say, I think we'll have a reaction to that draw on Friday. I think we were saying Bruges was probably the best of the bunch for that one if Liverpool can get them, but we'll have to see how the game's going.
Doyle's going and I'm not, so I hope it's Istanbul.
So it's the allay semi.
And they have to move it to Baku for some reason.
And we'll see how glass half full you are there. I think we'll call that a day for today then. As I say, back on Friday. We've got a few things going on with presser in the morning, probably Friday. We think, maybe.
Could be Thursday this week.
Could be Thursday. Like you were throwing a little Thursday last week, so you never know. And then the Champions League draw ahead of West Ham at home on Saturday. So
you're there with us, I believe.
I will be joining you in the press box.
We'll get put you to work.
I'm sure you will. The last time I was in the press box at Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp had just taken charge, and we had a different main stand, so it has been a while.
It's different.
Yeah, hopefully better. We'll find out. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, and thank you to our viewers for watching as well. This has been the Blood Red Podcast. We'll see you soon.
You've been listening to the Blood Red Podcast from the Liverpool Echo.